There's a lady come up to me just a moment ago. I need to have a disclaimer here. I'm not Drew Edmondson. She had some photos of him sitting in a car, and I didn't have my glasses on. It looked like it was me sitting in that car. But I am not Drew Edmondson. I am not going to take very much of your time. I am unopposed, so I've already been elected. So none of you can vote for me, and I'm kind of glad to say that. But before my good friend Randy Brogdon comes up here, Senator Brogdon, who is my brother, he's got my vote. I'm going to let you know that right up front. I'm going to let you know that right out loud and in public. I'm only going to say one thing about myself, and it's something that I got in the mail, and it'll just kind of tell you all about what I'm about. I got a letter from the ACLU addressed to me saying that I got a 0 on their score. Just leave it with that. Would you allow me to introduce our next governor? All right. Senator Randy Brogdon is one of the most conservative guys that I know, and I'm way on the right side of most things as well. But he has been a good friend, and I told him a long time ago that he's got my vote, and I would like to see all of you vote for him as well. Would you make welcome our next governor, Randy Brogdon?
Dennis has been a great friend. You know, I've been serving. I just finished my 8th year, and Dennis came in behind me, but he has been a true champion for this district when it comes to your property rights, when it comes to your freedom and your liberty. Dennis is one of our caucus members of the Liberty Caucus that we have at the state capitol. So let me just say thank you for inviting me to be with you, and I appreciate you accommodating my schedule. We've already had 2 previous stops. We had the Reclaiming Oklahoma for Christ meeting in Oklahoma City first thing this morning. Then we had another Tea Party meeting in Hedrick this morning, and then we drove right over here, and we're not through. So we will continue that process. But before I make my remarks, I want to introduce my wife, and I'll just have you wave at them. This is my wife, Donna, 37 years. There are 2 very important things that I'd like you to know about me today. The first thing is I married my high school sweetheart, and 37 years later, we're still in love and we're still married. And so that's telling you how smart I am. But the other thing that I want to share just for a few minutes with you today, why I'm running for governor. I'm running for a very simple reason, that I have a profound impact on the state of Oklahoma. I believe it'll have a profound impact on our country. And the reason I'm running is to restore and to find practical applications of our founding principles. You know, values that we once held sacred. Values like limited government, personal responsibility, the expansion of freedom. Those values are now held in contempt by too many in Washington, D.C. And folks, the policies that have now come down from Washington have literally infected the state of Oklahoma. I'm concerned about things like the bailouts, the stimulus schemes, earmark spending. All of those things have created generational debt on my kids and your kids and our grandkids. And I take personal offense to that. It never should have happened. And that causes me great concern. But I'll tell you, as bad as the problems are today, I got good news for you this afternoon. No matter how bleak it looks in our country and in our state, no matter how severe the problems appear today, we have an opportunity to restore what's rightfully ours. And what is rightfully ours, folks, is the American birthright of freedom. One of the greatest hallmarks of living in the United States of America is the personal liberty that has been handed down generation after generation after generation. And I had to ask myself a pretty serious question. I asked and answered it. What am I willing to do? What am I willing to do for my kids? What am I willing to do for your kids? And I want you to know today, Donna and I are committed to preserving and to protecting and to pass freedom down to the next generation. And as bad as things may appear, I believe that greater truth is more powerful than the current problems that we're facing. And here's the greater truth. We can cure the problems facing us today simply by returning to our roots. Returning to the founding principles that I've already talked about. Reclaiming that American birthright of freedom. Can it be done in this generation for the next? Absolutely. But it's going to take every one of us to rededicate ourselves to liberty. And I realize it's our turn. You see, the mantle has now been placed on our shoulders. The responsibility has now been transferred to us. And I've asked myself, if I don't stand, who's going to? And I'm going to ask you that. If you don't stand, who's going to? Folks, Thomas Jefferson and the rest of our founding fathers, they understood that our liberty is fragile. Jefferson said, I'd rather be exposed to the inconveniences of attending to too much liberty than to those attending too small a degree of it. Let me put that in a little Okie speak this afternoon. Jefferson understood, our founding fathers understood that sometimes it's inconvenient to protect our freedom. I dare say it's inconvenient for every one of you to be here today, and I understand that. But freedom is never free. We know that. Sometimes our liberty is messy to secure. Sometimes it's bloody. It's always with great sacrifice. And now it's our turn. What are we willing to do? What are we willing to do to pass freedom down?